Hello and welcome back to Let's Talk Sport for this weekend's UFC 262 preview. I am absolutely honoured to be joined by Callum from Coppish. Callum, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me, man.
Oh,
Really do appreciate you bringing me on.
absolute pleasure for you coming on. I know that you're a massive UFC fan, so let's kick off with the main card. Let's start off with the main event, vacant UFC Lightweight Title fight against Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler. Quite an interesting fight. Obviously, Oliveira is coming off a dominant win over Tony Ferguson, who is also fighting on this card, that we'll discuss later. Charles Oliveira, massive streak, he's on an 8-fight win streak against Michael Chandler, guy. This is only his second fight in the UFC, and made his debut at the beginning of this year when he was knocking out Dan Hooker inside one round, I think, on Fight Island. So Callum, who takes Khabib's crown?
This is a tough one. Luke, this is a tough one. So you look at the two standing next to each other, and you'd think one's a lightweight and one's a featherweight in terms of the height. But Oliveira is just really, really tall for the division. However, Chandler he's built like a machine. He's like a little rocket, isn't he? And
Yeah.
he's so quick, he's strong, he's durable as well. Like, a lot of people don't know about him because he fought in Bellator as opposed to UFC, but he's as durable as it gets. Charles Oliveira right now though is in the form of his life when it comes to fighting, and he looks a different proposition to what we saw maybe a few years ago. And I know people say he's quit a few times or he's missed weight and he's got that in him, but I think everyone forgets how young he was. He wasn't like a seasoned vet when he was doing those things. He's been a kid. He's been in the UFC since he's a kid. This is the hardest one for me to predict on the whole card, but if I had to pick someone, I would go Oliveira. I think Oliveira is really good with his striking. I think he can actually keep him at range with his striking, and then with the wrestling, I think there's two types of wrestling. You've got the offensive wrestling and you've got defensive wrestling. If you can get Chandler to start being a defensive wrestler, it plays into his jiu-jitsu, and as he's shown with the most UFC submissions of all time, if he gets you in a position you don't want to be in, it is over. It's over.
Well, I am going to go different. I'm going to go Michael Chandler for this one. I'm going to go Michael Chandler. I feel like the fact that Chandler fought Hooker in his first fight will actually do him well in this fight, considering that Chandler, I'd say, is taller than Oliveira. So he's already fought someone in the UFC with that range of his, and plus Michael Chandler's got knockout power. Like you saw in the Hooker fight, it was one shot to the body, one over the head, and that was him out. And the thing is with Oliveira, like, he's had his hot streak during COVID, where there was no crowds. So I'm just wondering if that occasion, the fact is that it's going to be packed out in Texas, whether or not, I know that you discussed, he has quit a couple of times. You can never beat a quitter out of a quitter. If you've quit once, you could quit again. So that's why I think you're going to see, that's why I feel like Michael Chandler's going to stop him via knockout within 3 rounds. I don't think it's going to go that long. I think he's going to knock him out. For me. So it's like, that's my prediction, and I feel like that. I feel like that there's more money fights if Chandler's the champ, because I think that the winner of Poirier McGregor is going to be fighting the winner of this at the end of the year. And if you're the UFC, what's making you more money? Oliveira or Chandler as the champ versus McGregor or Poirier? And plus, there's already narratives between Chandler and Poirier of Chandler apparently ducking Poirier on the debut, and I think Chandler said, yeah, I want to fight McGregor. Biggest payday. So he's already thinking on the business sense, yeah, get the payday. So that makes more sense, and that's why I'm going with Michael Chandler's going to be taking Khabib's crown on the weekend. Just before we go to the co-main, everyone that's watching, make sure to give us a like, share and subscribe. Drop a comment in the comment section to ask Callum some questions about UFC, about his favourite fights, etc. On to the co-main event. Former interim title winner Tony Ferguson, coming off a loss to Charles Oliveira. I think that was on the undercard for Figueiredo Moreno at the end of last year, and he'll be facing Beneil Dariush. He's on the best run of his career. He's looking for his 7th consecutive win. So, Callum, is it going to be Tony time, or is Father Time going to catch up to him again?
This is another one that's difficult to predict, because if there's anyone as crazy as Tony Ferguson inside the octagon in that weight division, it's probably Dariush. And I think the difference between Ferguson and Dariush is, I think Dariush has just that, he has that knockout power. Tony Ferguson's more of a, he's going to grind you out, he's going to wear you down, he's a volume guy. Dariush can actually just clock you and just put you to sleep with one punch. And I think Tony's recently has shown some susceptibility to getting hit a lot more than he usually gets hit, which is a lot. I think Tony knows this is a must-win fight because he's lost his last 2, even though they've been against world-class opposition. But for Beneil Dariush, this is a fight that kind of can bring him up to the main stage and bring him up to the head table and say, look, I'm eating with the main guys in this division now. I need to be in amongst the title contention picture. And it kind of means if Ferguson now the gatekeeper for that. However, I don't think he'll be opening the gates for this one. I do think he'll wear down Dariush. I think he'll win by decision. I don't think he'll stop Dariush. But I do think Ferguson will put on a really good performance and show everyone that he is still one of the top lightweights in the world.
Yeah, because the problem with Ferguson, I found his style. It's very get hit to get hit to give a hit, and that style only serves you for a certain amount of time. Like when you're having fight of the year contenders for every fight, that eventually is going to catch up with you. And when you're fighting someone, like let's go back to the Gaethje fight, when you're fighting someone who can take a hit, and my God, he can deliver one just as well or even better, that's gonna catch up to him. And the fact is, he's 36, he's not getting any younger, and the punishment he's put his body through, he knows it's do or die. If he loses this fight, do you think what's next for him? Does he stay at 55 and get thrown on that gatekeeper tag, or does he move up to 170 where he'll probably look a lot comfortable and then go after the bigger money fights at 170?
Yeah, I think it would be better for him to go up to 55. Sorry, up to 70. I'm correct in saying when he fought in Tough and won Tough, he fought at 70, didn't he, to win
he fought
Tough?
welterweight, yeah.
So that's his natural weight division. I think he went down to 55 because he just felt like there was a better chance of him winning a title in that division at the time. However, he's grown into his body more. He's older, so it's going to be harder to cut weight. I think him doing the back-to-back weight cut before the Gaethje fight was just silly as anything. Just didn't need to do it. And I think if he goes up to 70, there's a lot of fun fights in that division for him. And he wouldn't be a small 70-pounder either. Like, you look at his frame, he can pack on that muscle quite easily. And he's got the height for it as well. He's got the reach. So I think it would actually be smart if he moved up. But if he wins this, then I think he'll stay at 55 and make another run for the title.
I do feel like that if he wins against Dariush, then you're looking at... The thing is, you wouldn't run it back with Gaethje.
That's the thing, he's still in a rough position.
Yeah, because you don't want to run it back with Gaethje, because you fought him last year and you got smashed. You can't exactly fight Poirier or McGregor, because they're already tied up. Does he wait for another up-and-comer? Like Makhachev, or does he go after Paul Felder, Dan Hooker?
You just said the name.
What, Paul Felder?
Makhachev.
Oh, Makhachev,
no,
yeah.
Makhachev. You just that's the one.
Yeah, baby Khabib.
That's the storyline. The storyline sells itself there as well. That's the one.
Yeah, yeah. So do you think that if he wins it,
I'm gonna start calling you Luke Shelby from now on?
Yeah, hey Dana, give me the call. Yeah, can start booking these fights. Yeah, because with Makhachev and Tony, you could also see, could Tony have actually beaten Khabib? Because Makhachev, in his last fight against Drew Dober, it was like, oh my god, I'm watching Khabib. Are you sure he's out of retirement?
Yeah.
But no, he was in the corner. For Dariush, this is because in his last fight he was complaining, saying none of the top 5 guys want to fight him. He's on a massive win streak. So for him, as you were saying earlier, like if he wants to dine at the top table, because Tony's ranked 5 and Dariush is ranked 9, so if Dariush beats him, then he's knocking on the door for a Justin Gaethje or hanging on. So it's a massive moment for him to break through and say, I've arrived and I'm on the top table now.
Definitely, and I think the way he's built up his career and built up his experience has been very smart. Obviously, he's taken a couple of losses, but he's someone who is kind of right there now, where he's like, right, I know what my game is. He's training with Rafael Cordera. He's King's MMA, so he's surrounded by killers as well. So I don't think he'll be daunted by the prospect of fighting Ferguson. Anyone who steps in there with Ferguson knows you're going to go through the fire.
Yeah,
you've got to.
And plus the beat.
And Tony, I think he's ready for it.
And plus the beat Tony, you've got to out Tony. If you can,
and he can do it.
Yeah, especially with the last fight. If he would have got a performance off the night, but I think he missed weight in his last fight, which means he was ill. He wasn't allowed to get it. So for me, I feel like this is a tougher one to call than the main. I feel like that if Tony's still got the hunger to challenge for the 55 belt, because there's still money fights at 55 on the premise that he wins this fight. Even if he wins it by a decision, like a scrappy decision, and people go, oh, did he win it, did he not? For him, for Tony, it's a win at all costs. And then for Dariush, if he gets a highlight knockout, because Dariush in his last fight has delivered those moments, the spinning back elbow, and plus he's no slouch on the mat as well. So if it does go to the ground, he'll be used to Tony's wild submissions off his back and stuff like that, because we know Tony's got a great ground game with all the submissions, the chokes and the triangles and stuff like that. So for me, I'm going to go, I think I'm going to go with you. I think I'm going to go with Tony via decision. I don't think it will knock him out. Not saying he's not lost his knockout power, but he struggled to land on Charles Oliveira, and that fight with Gaethje was swallowing all of his punches with his face. So it'll be very interesting to see. Next fight on the card, it says it's at bantamweight, but I think it's going to be at flyweight. So it will be Matthew Christoph Chanel versus Rogero Bontoni. Bontoni last fought on the Adesanya Blachowicz card because he was fighting Adesanya's teammate Kyra France, who was actually beating him until the very end, and then he got a crazy knockout. So is this I don't think they're ranked. I don't think either of them are ranked. Is this an opportunity for one of them to push and get a top 15 guy?
Definitely. And again, I like the way UFC builds cards. We were speaking about this. I like the way they build cards because, I mean, Jacare Souza, for example, was on the prelims, and you could have easily put Jacare on the main card. But by putting 2 relatively unnamed fighters on the card and saying, look, go out there and prove yourself, I think it just adds a bit to the actual fight. But it also allows fans to be more open-minded and look at some of these up-and-coming fighters or some of these fighters who aren't highly ranked and just think, they could be there in the next 2-3 years. I think it would actually be a good fight. I think it's a fight that will be slept on because not many people know the two of them.
It's a sleeper.
But I think they both got a friendly style of fighting and a fan-friendly style of fighting, should I say. And I think it'll be a good fight.
Well, actually, I stand corrected. They are both ranked. Matt Chanel's ranked 8th and Bontoni is ranked 9. So it is ranked. You imagine the winner then pushes up, maybe fights a Joey Benavidez who's coming off a loss against Askarov. So this is sort of a stepping stone fight to push up and maybe fight a top 5 guy.
I agree, and Benavidez has almost now become that gatekeeper for that division,
Yeah,
unfortunately, which is a shame because you kind of wanted him to get a title before he retires, but unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. But
especially
if
with
he can still show that he's still among the elite in that division, then I think that would be a good fight for one of these two if they get through this fight.
yeah, especially because got it for Benavidez, but Figueiredo, those two fights with Figueiredo just shows that there's levels, and it's
Mm,
just maybe Father Time's caught up with him at I think he's around 36, 37 now, so I don't think he's
yeah,
got that long left at the top level. Going down to the women's flyweight, it's Caitlyn Chukaykin versus Varina Arraggio. I think that's how you
yeah,
say the name.
Arraggio, I believe.
Yeah, ranked in the flyweight division. I imagine Caitlyn Chukaykin, before this fight, she had a good win over Cynthia Calvillo. I think it was via decision.
Mm,
And then previously
yeah,
to
it
that,
was.
she lost to Andrade via, was it knockout or TKO? Because I know
Yeah,
Andrade,
it's TK. I think they gave it as a TKO.
yeah,
Remember the killer body
oh, the
shot?
killer body shot.
Yeah,
And then obviously she lost to Shevchenko for the title. So I feel like we're going to be using that word again, gatekeeper, because Chukaykin's ranked number 2. Out of her 15 wins, 12 of them have come via decision.
mm,
Araujo's more known for her knockout power, so you imagine if she beats Chukaykin, she'll be in line to get a title shot. Whether or not she'll win, I don't know. We shouldn't give it a. We shouldn't call the women's flyweight a title shot. It should be a Valentina beating. There you go.
yeah. I'm like you. I think the UFC will probably want Araujo to win because then it gives them another contender. Because if Chukaykin wins, you can't make that Valentina fight again, in my
It
opinion,
wasn't that
because
competitive.
she's yeah, it wasn't competitive. Plus, she just dominated the person that dominated you and stopped you quite brutally as well. So it's like you kind of need a Rujo to win this fight, but I don't know if she can because I mean, once Caitlyn gets in a rhythm and she gets in a flow, it's very hard to break her rhythm and to get her out of her comfortable areas in the fight. And she's got good striking. She mixes up her takedowns well. She's very unpredictable when she gets in a fight flow. So Arujo for me will have to stamp her authority down very early in the fight, and where it's a 3 round fight as well, we know Chikagian can go all 5 rounds at a really good pace.
Yeah.
I think Arujo, for me, if she's going to go to a decision, Arujo has to at least win the first round. If she
Yeah.
loses the first round, I think it'll be over.
Yeah, because Arujo is ranked 7 and Chukagin's ranked number 2,
Mm.
so you imagine if Arujo wins, spoiler,
She jumps right
that's
up.
my pick. I think she'll win. I think she might win via KO. I think that's my prediction for it. She'll go up to around the top 5, and you imagine you'll see her in contention, but I don't think the winner of this would get a title shot. I feel like the winner between Lauren Murphy and Joanne Calderwood, I feel like that's what the
Mojo.
UFC are setting up for that next title shot. So, Callum, who are you
Mm.
going with for this fight?
I'm actually going to go Caitlyn. I think Caitlyn gets a decision. I don't think it'll be a fun fight because I think Caitlyn will make sure it's not a fun fight. If it's a fun fight, it means Arujo wins.
Yeah,
I think Caitlyn will do what she needs to do to maintain her ranking and to get back on the winning, well, to maintain her winning run after beating Calvillo.
yeah. I've got a question here from Greg Livingston for you, Callum. It says, Callum, do you feel
Go
that
for it.
Conor McGregor can come back to be the best, or is he done?
How crazy is that? Like, we were speaking about that before we went
Yeah, I
live.
know, yeah.
So Connor attribute wise has all the attributes to come back and be the best in the lightweight division now since Khabib isn't there. However, I think, and it's going to sound weird me saying this because Connor's seen as one of the most mentally tough in the division or in fighting, full stop. But I think it's down to his mental state and where if he wants to really be. It's all well and good saying, I want to be the best, I'm going to be the best, but only you within yourself know how badly you want it. And when you hear him talk about how his training camps was and the fact that he was too focused on boxing, that suggests to me he was focused on boxing because that's the thing that comes easiest to him in MMA. Boxing is his forte. He's known for his great hands. He wasn't throwing the kicks at you through. Like you remember the first Dustin Poirier fight, he came out of a spinning side kick,
Yeah.
and you're like, okay, it's that unpredictability. If Conor can bring that version of himself back, where he's in and out like he was against Eddie Alvarez, where he picks his punches well, he doesn't fatigue as much because he's not wasting unnecessary energy. I think he can really make a run at that title again. Because look, I'd be honest, the best version of Conor, in my opinion, beats the best version of Poirier, beats the best version of Chandler, beats the best version of Oliveira.
Beats Tony.
So beats Tony, but it's just whether you get the best version.
For me, I feel like with that Poirier second fight, he came out because there was rumours of, oh, if he beats Poirier, he's fighting Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah,
Which sort of means his eye wasn't on the ball, and that's why he got. For me, I thought he got dominated. The fact that Poirier landed a takedown like in the first round, and when that happens, you're thinking, he's already sucking the gas tanks going already.
Yeah.
And then the fact that he didn't check the leg kicks, I was watching, and I was like, you're not checking the leg kicks, and eventually all it takes
even move out the way.
Yeah, all it takes is one clean hit, and that's the leg done. And you could see afterwards on the post-fight videos, like he was limping. So it shows like hopefully he's not done, because he is UFC's biggest star. He makes the most money out of the top 5 pay-per-views. The common denominator is Conor McGregor. McGregor Khabib, McGregor Diaz 1, 2, Cerrone. So hopefully he's back, but it just depends. If he'll be done in my eyes if he comes back and he does not learn what he did in Poirier 2. Like if he loses the trilogy, I don't know what he does. Does he go, I'm done, I'm gonna go to boxing, make a ton of money, or is he gonna go up to 170 and be the ultimate prize fighter and go for money fights only, like Jorge Masvidal at 170. Interesting. I don't think he wins that. He's already been calling out Kamaru Usman.
He gets
and he would get picked. You thought watching him and Khabib was painful.
Oh gosh,
imagine just a bigger, stronger version. Oh yeah, Kamaru's got knockout power. You could see a very horrible end to that one. So
yeah.
I think, for me, Greg, it just all depends on how his mindset is for the trilogy. So far, he's saying the right things. He's saying he won't have his family along. He says it's just going to be him. But if he's rocking up again on a bloody yacht, like he was in Abu Dhabi, that sort of shows the mentality, the slippers on. He's got the money now. So in his eyes, he can go, don't need to fight anymore. But he said he wants to become champ again. Like, that's his goal again. And I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. I think he could win the 55 belt, but he'd have to drop down to 45 again to win the 45 belt, because there's no way he's winning the welterweight gold. It would be interesting to see.
I mean, I think if he were to lose against Poirier, I think he goes down the route of just making super fights. So I think you do make the Jorge Masvidal fight. Even he has a chance of winning it. He won't win it, in my opinion. Holloway at 55, I think you could do. So there's a few fights out there still.
Volkanovski's called him out for featherweight.
He beats Volkanovski, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Too short.
Just trying to think. There's other big money fights that have been floated around for him. I think Darren Till wanted to fight him at welterweight at Anfield. That was years ago. But Darren Till kills himself to get to 170. So there's no way he's going to ever drop down again. An interesting fight that would be, but I don't think it would. I don't think it would happen. Final fight on the main card, which if I'm Dana, I'm already given the 60 Gs to both of these, because I think this is going to be fight of the night.
60 Gs, baby.
Yeah. Shane Burgos versus Edson Barboza in the featherweight division. For me, this is my fight of the night. This is going to go 3 rounds. I think it'll be decision. Don't care who wins. it's just going to be a crazy fight. Get the money, Dana. Just get the money ready. Callum, what are your thoughts about this fight?
The switch kick sensation against the bully Burgos. That's what I'm calling this one. I mean, Edson, I've never seen someone kick so well. Just pure technique, pure speed, pure accuracy, pure power. Like it's a horrible kick to receive that. However, Burgos is shown he's durable as anything. He's got knockout power in his hands, and Edson Barboza gets hit a lot. And he's a fighter you can tell you can break his will. We've seen it happen a few times. Tony's done it. Khabib's done it. But we've also seen him on the other hand against people like Anthony Pettis, for example, where he decides to actually fight strategically and
Dariush, beat Dariush.
Yeah, Dariush. Oh, that was a brutal knee finish, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So when he fights strategically, he's one of the best in the world. However, he does seem to get into tear-ups, and when he gets hit, he doesn't protect himself very well. Like you remember against Kevin Lee, for example, hit him with a fantastic kick that almost stopped Lee, but after that, didn't follow up and then just got battered for the rest of the fight. So I think it depends on which version of Edson turns up. If Barboza turns up and he really wants to give it a go and he's on the mindset of I'm not going to be defeated tonight, then we're in for a real fight. And I think he'll get the W if he comes in like that.
Yeah, because Shane Burgos is ranked 9 in the featherweight division and Edson Barboza is ranked 13. So you imagine for Barboza, this is a massive chance for him to jump up the featherweight rankings. How he gets to 45, I've got no idea. He looks huge.
Doesn't make sense.
For that weight class.
He was 55. He was a big 55er.
Yeah. So how he's dropped down, I've got no idea. But it's going to be a very interesting fight. I think Shane Burgos is probably my favourite to win via decision. It's going to be a great fight. But I feel like, I don't want to use the word gatekeeper again, but I feel like you beat Barboza, have a great fight, then you're looking at... It doesn't do much for Burgos in the rankings because Barboza's 13th. But then you're looking up there for Burgos, you've got great fights. You've got the zombie he could have a fight with, Cater, Josh Emmett, Britain's own Arnold Allen, who had a great fight, Dan Ige, but I think he's scheduled to fight Korean Zombie soon. Yeah. I think. So, yeah, great fights up to here.
Great division.
Oh, great division. Yeah, again, most of the men's divisions, like, you look at 25, 35, great fights. The only fights that I'm like, ugh, it's welterweight. That's the only division I go, I just can't get excited for, because you know...
Who beats Usman?
Yeah, and you just feel like that's the same with 85 as well. I just don't get excited, because unless it's with a certain fighter, it's like, oh, you know what the result's going to be. But yeah, there is some great divisions. Callum, before we leave, what's your fight of the night? What's the one where you're telling Dana, hey, 60 Gs?
It's Edson and Burgos. I think that there's a reason them two are opening the main card, in my opinion. There's a reason. Get the crowd hyped. Get them in a state of frenzy. They both throw down. They both like to fight. That's the one for me.
Yeah, Dana and the guys at the UFC, they know what's going to get the money. Packed out Texas. Imagine if you get a banging fight, then that's going to get the crowd on a massive high. Before we wrap up, a massive thank you to everyone tuning in. Thanks, Greg, for the question. A massive thank you to Callum. His channel Coppish is in the title, so if you just click the title, it takes you over to Coppish. I've not actually yet watched the reaction from last night. I'll probably do that during the day, because I'll tell you once we finish this. But and plus you've got your other channel, the Sanderson Show, as well. I will put that in the description. I think he's on the road to 1K, so hopefully if you like some more MMA content, then he's starting that up again. So
bless you. Thank you, Luke.
No problem.
Thanks for having me and loving what you guys are doing as well, man. So thank you. It's a real pleasure to be on the channel. Thank you.
And make sure to join me this weekend for UFC 262. I'll be live at around 10 to 3 in the morning, because I'm mad like that. And obviously we've got the FA Cup live watch along, which I'll be joined by Adam and Connor tomorrow. So I will see you all then. Thank you very much.